Welcome to Nerd Church. When we left off last time, it was high drama as you fled the city of Chukip and sort of your home base for the last several months. Um, in the night, fleeing on a prearranged but then urgently utilized smuggler's trawler. Black sails unfurled into the dark waters to get away from a surprise attack by Imperial blades, including some elite warriors that uh, potentially spelled the end of some of your allies in Chukip. Um, you've been at sea now for an evening, or I guess the rest of the night, and as the sun rises on the second day, you have informed the captain that you are headed for the mainland, but not in the direction where you've been in the past. So you are currently, as you directed the captain, headed for, as you can see on the map, um, the Chinkosh Reservoir, which uh, is the landing area or for the port city of Nantong. That region is both in the direction that your tracking device has been generally pointing. Obviously, it's a pretty broad swath right now, so it's not a laser target, but it's the closest sort of civilized landing to the direction that your tracking device is pointed. And it happens to be in the territory of the vassal state of the Minotaurs. So Nantong is a Minotaur city, and you will be at sea for potentially about 5 days, is what the captain has estimated. So we're going to do a couple things while we're at sea. You will roll some luck rolls to see what happens out on the waters here. Each day we'll choose someone to sort of take the primary role of lookout, and you'll roll a perception check to see if you can stay alert to whatever might come your way. And then in addition, because you'll have 5 days at sea, if there are things you want to be doing during that time, it's not quite downtime, but you're going to have a lot of time on the boat to get involved in other stuff if you want to. So before we jump into day one, as kind of dawn rises after your very close escape, what are you doing? And I will just also note that it is still not certain to you whether you are under pursuit. Uh, your escape was not quiet. It was successful in the immediate term, but not quiet.
That's good. Like me, I'm just paying I do think that, in that I'm going to, well, I'm going to just not, I'm thinking about that constantly. Maybe if I put on the I could go. Yeah, I guess we're just at the market. Just to watch them. Yeah, and we also rotating shift or something. Here, just inform us so you have a full day off sometimes. Just with the extra
Mhm. That's his main. He's that's what
Mm-hmm.
we need somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
And Taylor isn't doesn't sleep, right? More meditates.
Meditates.
Yeah.
Mhm. So just to keep our naval journey mechanically simple here, we're going to go one day at a time. Each day, I'm going to ask you to choose who is going to handle the perception check. I think just to simplify it, with the exocomp kind of universally assisting with this, those perception checks will be rolled at advantage. And then somebody who's not the perception check, who's not the lookout, is going to roll our luck roll and see what happens that day. So day one lies before you. Who is going to be on primary lookout? Okay, so roll me a perception check at advantage. And who's going to take care of our luck roll day one? Just a d20, a straight d20. Okay.
I'm hitting mine out of Yeah. 15.
Okay. 15. All right, very good. So day one, uh, thankfully, is relatively uneventful. Your weather cooperates. The captain is able to make good time and keep a steady heading for the most part. It does get a little kind of misty at times. There's some weather moving through, but not something that becomes a barrier to your travel. And neither you nor the exocomp spot anything on the horizon. So no signs of pursuit on day one. A good start to your travel. Definitely does not mean that. So we can move into day two, unless anybody has something that they want to be doing. We'll open this soon too. Sure. This is not a large vessel. It is at a distance. It's a ship that looks very much like a small fishing trawler, the kind of thing that you would potentially see uh, out on the open sea. It's not as small as like the purely coastal fishing vessels that could be manned by a single person. Uh, it's a two-mast vessel, and it has a small crew. So the captain and three others who are operating this. One of the crew members clearly is the captain's kid, uh, probably a 15, maybe 16-year-old. Yeah. And then one appears to be somebody that has known the captain for a very long time, like they've probably been operating together for a long time. And then a third guy who is kind of quiet and standoffish. You don't get a lot of, at least you've not heard many words out of him in the first 24 hours on this boat. But he's probably in his middle age. Super not. So upon closer inspection, this vessel, though it looks like a fishing vessel, is rigged for speed. And as you've now kind of been in a lot of parts of the vessel, there are all kinds of there's. It looks like there's much less storage in the hold than you would assume from the outside, and so it doesn't take you long to figure out that there's a whole lot of hidden storage space. No, 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 no. Uh, yeah, it's a lot. This is all decorative. It's meant to avoid closer inspection by blade patrols. But uh, good note, because if you can tell once you get up close that this is not a fishing vessel. It's pretty clear that if this vessel gets boarded, it's not going to hold up to inspection very long. It's more designed to not get noticed, and if they get noticed, they're going to run. It's about speed. Mhm. No, they've been paid a lot of money by you, uh, and the Yoko Gawai cell to take you where you want to go. Like this is the job they were hired to do, is get you wherever you need to get, because that's why they were sort of on retainer, ready to run if you needed to.
What? I meant to and I actually
That's a
I
great
think we all
great question. 100 gold pieces each
Okay.
was
So
the
you guys removed
price.
for that. Don't do it. Yeah, I think we were on it.
Best friends.
I'm always friends. Yes, yeah, no.
Right. No? Okay. Same,
Very
same.
closed body. Just imagine that dude trying to hug her is like arms like slightly on. Oh, I have even better.
Just hugging the cloud. All right, let's roll into day 2. Yeah.
Making notes on
Sure. Make why don't you make an investigation check? Hmm. And now make a yeah. Really looking close. Now make a persuasion check at advantage. Okay. Yeah. So I think the way this goes down is about what you'd expect, which is that he identifies lots of things that could be better and has lots of ideas for how to make them better. And that messaging doesn't land real well. So I think
because it kind of comes off. I'm like, you know, yeah.
yeah, yes, it's very much like that. And so pretty quickly, I think the captain delegates the managing of you to his son. And so now his teenage son's primary job on this trip is to be a buffer between you and the captain. Yes, yes. And so maybe there's actually maybe some interesting narrative vibes back to the time you spent with, what was that kid's name?
The blacksmith.
All right, I got it. Troy Eloquence. Yeah, Troy was. This kid's not incompetent.
Boosted that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so great. Yeah, I think there's some vibes here where like maybe I don't know if this is I'm not going to define for you character traits of Potom, but I think this is feels like a trend line to some of you where you're like, oh, we've seen this side of Potom before, where he's kind of like, all right, kid, let me show you a couple things, and someday this ship's going to be yours. And when that happens, you should really move this peg here because you're not getting the leverage. Yes. Yeah.
Also kind of feel like you would point out
Yes. Right. Yes.
They moved away from work. They just pulled
I, I actually, I actually also think this is a good example of mechanically in D&D the difference between intelligence and wisdom, right? Because Potom is super intelligent, not as wise, uh, and has he has really no knowledge of how smuggling works, what these people's world is all about, like why they would do the things they're doing, until he intellectually, like cognitively, gets informed and goes, yes, logic, that makes sense. Yeah. Yes. Yes. All of this. It's the email from the manager who's definitely on the spectrum. It's like, I don't know why people are so upset about this. I just said what's happening in the meeting. All right, day 2. Who is on lookout and who's going to roll our light? Okay. Give me a perception check at advantage, and I need a luck roll.
First one is
Um, which non-Katie person is going to roll your luck roll? Mm-hmm.
we're definitely
I want to be clear. The luck roll is not a skill roll. So it has nothing to do with any one player doing anything poorly. Your characters are not underperforming. The perception check is all about skill. And so in that case, yes, you have failed. Mhm. The good news is, with a 9 on my little naval encounter table here, all you get is gross rainy weather. So it's cold and uncomfortable, but it actually doesn't slow your travel, and you do not encounter anything dangerous. Um, yeah. And you also do not see anything on the horizon. Now, having said that, you're not looking very well. So yeah, so as players, let's not read into that too much. The fact that you don't see anything on the horizon, but right. The tricorn channels the water into just right into your face. It's not super cold. You're actually fairly far south at this point. So it's I mean probably like it is outside this afternoon. It's just uncomfortable. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not uncomfortable. And as a reminder, we are headed into summer here. So seasonally, this is not out of the question, but it's a little unseasonable. All right, let's move into day 3. So I need a new lookout and a new luck roll. Okay, perception at advantage. Okay. Eagle eyes.
Can I borrow? Is it nice?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. It's like so.
Yeah, I think so. I think that narratively works well for me. The weather holds. Nobody else really wants to be out in this, but for some reason, well, not for some reason, for obvious reasons, Freya is feeling very happy and comfortable. So she's out there all the time, scanning the horizon. The exocomp has adjusted. Maybe you installed little tiny wipers on his ocular sensors. It's got a chamois. Um, but yeah, no significant issues at sea today. And now I think with that perception check, you have a pretty high level of confidence that there is no pursuit. The good news is the further you get from Chukip, the less the chances are that pursuit will find you. There's a whole lot wider search array at this point. So if you haven't been caught yet, the chances of catching you are getting less and less, or so you would assume because of math. Moving on to day 4 at sea. Need a perception check and a luck roll. Okay. At advantage. Nice. Excellent. I need another roll, please. A d6. Hmm?
Okay, don't try
Oh,
really high.
I'm delighted. Um,
Yeah. We have a long
Okay.
on the 4th day, the weather
on the fourth day.
the weather does clear, which gives you excellent line of sight in all directions, and because of that, you are alerted ahead of time as uh, a few small specks start to approach on the horizon. At this point, there is land in sight. It is a relatively small island that you are passing. Um, and these specks are airborne. They are probably, well, you with the 22, you're able to zero in pretty quick. Maybe the captain even borrows you his glass to look at a distance. You see 4 winged shapes uh, at a distance. Oh, gotta change that. Yeah, four winged shapes at a distance, and they are essentially on an intercept course with your ship. Uh, the you and the captain consult a little bit, and you could potentially delay their arrival by altering your course, which will add total travel time here. But they are moving fast enough that it is unlikely you'll be able to avoid them entirely. So he basically says, I could buy you some extra time to prepare, but that's the best I can do. Uh, Whatever that is, we need to be prepared because it's going to catch us. So because you had such a high perception roll, you are getting preparation time here. You are not surprised, and in fact, you're going to get a couple minutes to sort of set up what you want. So if there's anything you want to do, let's talk about that. And then essentially, you're going to get a round of action in combat before this begins. Um, well, there's hmm?
And also, just before the attack is coming, Autumn is going to broadcast to That's pretty good. Yeah.
I'll give you one other fun piece of information as they get a little closer, because you do have enough time, because you saw them far enough away. So as you're sort of getting yourself prepared, and I'd like you to position yourself on the deck where you would like to be. They're going to sort of be coming from this direction. Yeah, they're intercepting. Yeah, you're gonna get. I mean, if there's any sort of, we're gonna say you have roughly 3 or 4 minutes. So if there's anything out of combat you want to do, you can do that, and then I'm gonna say everybody gets a single combat round to like cast a spell or activate a thing or do whatever, hold an action, and then we're gonna roll initiative and jump in at that point. But even prior to worrying about that, I'm gonna give you a look at what you. Ooh, that didn't work well. To give you a look at what you see coming. Yeah. So there are 4 harpies inbound. They're not all as pretty as that. Yeah, they're much. I was hoping for a more hag-like picture of a harpy, but yeah, they love gloves. There we go. But that is what's inbound for you. And so, what is the big winged bug? What we're going to be using here? Yeah, it's a humanoid stuff. This ship has no, uh, other than the crew having some crossbows that they pull out. This ship is not armed. It is. Yeah, the image I have here is not a good JPEG. Yeah. So yeah, the ship itself has no defenses. It is. Uh, you've got basically 2 crew members who have crossbows here, and the boy and the older crew member are going below deck, while the captain and the younger crew member are going to help you defend by basically once around they'll pop off crossbow bolts. Okay, so let's roll initiative so that I can get our initiative order set up here. But then, as I said, everybody will get a single round. 17 Yeah. And a 4. Here. 9. 14. Okay. So before we worry about harpies, we will start with Freya. What is your pre-combat action going to be? Okay. So when a harpy comes in range, you are thrown a javelin. Like it? Okay. Potom, what is your held action? Or your round? Well, I was giving you like 5 minutes beforehand to do whatever you wanted to do. At this point, we're about to start combat. So if there was something that you meant to do in that 5-minute time span, you can do it. several fishing nets.
Great.
Yeah.
With the help of the boy, I would like the net over this guard arm and in this area
Okay.
to make sort of a tent or something that the if we are underneath a force field.
Sure,
If you
sure,
will.
sure.
If you will.
Okay. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think it would have to be pretty fast. So I think,
Help of the exercise.
yeah. So what I want you to do is roll a. Why don't you give me an intelligence check first? Just a straight intelligence check to see how effectively, efficiently you can like just look up and figure out how to do this in a way that would be useful. Okay. That's adequate for what you're trying to do. With the exocomp and the boys' help, now I want you to make an athletics check to be like climbing all around here and executing on this plan.
19.
Nice. Okay.
And I'm like,
Hooray. Yeah, okay, so I think fairly quickly, I think you look at you've been staring at the rigging of this ship for 3 days now. And the nets have bothered you in particular because they don't seem to be of any use. But on either side of the ship, there are these essentially wooden mechanical swinging arms that swing these nets out to be dipped into the ocean, in addition to nets that they cast out and drag behind the ship and things like that. So I think with the exocomp's help and the strength of your mechanical assistant, you're able to actually unlatch one of those arms and actually just swing the whole contraption up and attach it above. Um, and so what essentially you've created here is a net awning that covers, we're going to say about like a 4x4 square on that side of the ship where you can kind of gather. I don't know that I have a on, on the field here, but maybe we'll just mark the corners with dice. So essentially everything inside of that set of dice has about 10 feet up has a layer of fishing net, protecting it. Uh, could you fire an arrow through it? Probably. But is it going to keep harpies from swooping down on you if you're under there? Yeah, they're going to have to maneuver around that. Okay. Awesome. Air, what's your pre-combat plan? Okay. Very good. Yeah. And everybody's still happy with where they are, knowing where that net setup is? Okay. Last but not least, Pando. Uh, so they are two separate actions.
Okay.
A wild shape to turn into your wild shape requires an action. Summoning a beast for you is a spell,
It's a spell.
and so it is also an action. You can retain concentration when you're in wild shape, so you could summon a beast and then wild shape into a creature.
So that's what I'm gonna do because I would like to summon a beast. My understanding is that summon air beast even if you know
I believe so. So let's read the spell description to make sure we know what's up. You go this way. No, I'll open it up, but will you read it?
Absolutely.
So that
Yep. So, ranges and feet, concentration, with a bestial spirit. Like has to choose one by mate with the comment.
okay.
Pick the disappear it's my ally and then but it takes its turn and obeys my verbal commands. So no action.
Nice.
And if I don't issue any, it takes the back action and uses its main so air specifically doesn't provoke its reach.
Nice.
Hit points of 20 plus 5 for each spell level above second. Armor class is 11 plus the rank of the spell.
Okay, I'm going to
And flying is 60 feet.
add a beast here. That's right. We'll need to remember that there's a beast here. All right, so you summon a bestial spirit. What does it look like? Okay. Love it. All right, so let me give you pretty evil. That's our pretty eagle for now.
Beautiful.
At some point we'll get a real pretty eagle, but now it's a pretty dragonfly. And let's get our metal map back up. Okay.
And I think there's like
Well, you can make it appear anywhere within 90 feet of you,
right.
and then it can move around and do what you want to do. So you all see appearing above the ship the sort of ghostly form of an eagle appear, and it sort of quickly circles Pando once and then flies up to sort of hover over the ship in a defensive posture.
Pando pitches
Hooray, eagle spirit. All right, love it. So with your defenses in place, the captain and crew member position themselves behind some of the different sort of barrels and crates on the vessel, cock their crossbows, and prepare to fight. And the harpies come screeching in, ready to get themselves what they hope is an easy meal. And now we're going to officially jump into round one. So in round one, Freya, you have the initiative. So it is your action first. Oh, well, actually, your held action goes off because that harpy that is closest to you is in range. So you can make a ranged attack with your javelin. Yep, and it should tell you what your plus is next to your javelin if you have it equipped.
Yeah.
17 hits. So do your javelin damage. Nice. Good initial strike. But one of the harpies swoops in. You launch your javelin, stabs into the kidney region of one of these harpies, who screams in pain, tears it out with her hand, and throws it into the ocean. Sort of disrupts the flight pattern back towards you. Now you can take your actual.
So I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to grab the javelin. But we'll put it in range.
Okay.
And then I'll grab the other javelin.
Do it. Same harpy. Definitely hits. Yeah. Nice. So one after another, you just launch these short spears up and impale the same harpy twice. This time she is too distraught to even yank it out. It's just sort of flailing there embedded in her thigh as she swoops down and is looking pretty good already. So nice start.
So when I went to 10, so it so I raged and eagle. I got really close. I saw your eagle come out and I'm like, no, the eagle.
Inspired by the bestial spirit.
Most definitely. So just to when I landed with the eagle, other people said disadvantage and I can use the dash as a bonus.
Oh, cool.
So I just am kind of saying thing works out because with my new um,
If you get a running start, I think to use your charge ability, you need like 20 feet or 15 feet or something of. Got it. I like that. Yeah, awesome. All right, good start. Potom, you are up next in the initiative.
All right. There, I imagine that there's something on the deck that weighs 1 to 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Sitting there. Anything that weighs 1 to 5 pounds.
Yeah, I think there's a piece of like a pulley tackle, kind of like a block sitting there. Mm-hmm.
Kind of pulls out his finger for a second, and, kind of gives it a little and a beam comes out. Gets the block and tosses it out. We'll say this guy.
Okay. We're gonna call that Harpy 2. Harpy 1 has taken 2 javelins.
In D&D terms, he is using the spell cancel.
I love that spell.
In bottom terms, he's using strategy.
Of course.
All right. Okay, so it doesn't look like I. It looks like it's kind of an because it doesn't have me roll.
It's probably like a dex check by the
It's
victim.
An active dex check.
Okay, let's see. Harpies have +1 as a 12. So, 15 was the DC.
Yep.
So that's a fail. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's oh wow.
Yeah, that's not great. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer. It just launches. Yeah. That's much better. Much better. Well, so I think this spell works well, but I think this is new, right? It's new, and so the aim's not perfect. I think it catches this harpy in one of its wings, and while the block does shatter and definitely you hear a crack of bone, it wasn't center body where it probably would have done more damage. But definitely some harm. Now it is the harpy's turn. Harpy 1, who still has a javelin dangling. Is, oh yeah, the creature who her, multi-attack one with sort of a sort of a chunk of wood, like a club. So first, yeah, just bored. Yeah. Claw attack is an 8, so that's and is a 17. And you're gonna take 5 bludgeoning damage reduced to 3 because oh, right? What's the save? Oh, oh gotcha. Yeah. So well, you can see damage from a club. Could be worse. Harpy 2. Who just is going. He's gonna fly over this and Pando. Pando. That's an 8. Then weapon. That's a 16. Is that hit you? Then yeah. So you're gonna take 2 points of damage from this club. The ones that are currently engaged in melee have not fully landed to that damage. Yeah, I'll get my elevated if and where we need to. The harpy here fine. The harpy is going to not hover over the net contraption that we have set up. Yeah. And so the harpy is going to use its ability luring. That's his natural melody. Every human within 300 feet needs to make it. I need everyone. Please. Absorb elements would not help you here. This is a charming effect.
Thank you. Oh yeah, no. So you said wisdom?
So air, you're fine. Well, I had advantage. Yeah. 11 is enough.
22.
22 is fine. You're not. And our 2 crew members. One the other crew member did not. So, Thea and the non-captain crew member are charmed until the song ends. Until this game. I guess you know that. But, while charmed by the other harpies, if you are more than 5 feet away from the harpy, you must move on your turn to release the harpy by the next round. And you can repeat the saving throw turn. Right up to that harpy. So who's Freya and one of the crew members. And the fourth harpy is I don't think she knows but it's and 22 to hit. So you'll want to have that spell, keep that spell open. So the both of those hit. And how many hit points does this critter have? 20, you said?
20. Plus 5 for each spell level above second.
Above second.
Yeah.
So that's 2, 3, 4 points of damage to your critter. Yep. And that is the harpy's turn. Now, Air, you are up.
Okay. Um, trying to do this with me and scroll down there, but does it seem like the heart
Yeah, I don't think that'd be the way to interpret it. It's just hovering there singing above the net. That's the only action it took. That's it doesn't probably not equivalent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Air wants to get up and push. Hannah,
Pando's fine. Pando's fine.
Move.
Sure. Yeah.
And then she has a really cool plan. But just going to swing
All right. That is Harpy 1.
15.
That's a hit.
Oh, 8 hit points.
Okay. Nice. This harpy's pretty bloody.
That's it.
Okay. Nothing to see here. Pando, you're up. Okay. Pando's fighting Harpy 2. Hmm?
And then,
Your wild shape is your action. Yeah. Later, when you get more Circle of the Moon,
yeah.
wild shape becomes a bonus action, and then you're so broken. Yep. So now you can make your eagle spirit do things. What's your eagle spirit gonna do? Gross. So it gets one attack. So the least multi attack. Okay. Well, first roll to attack to see if the eagle hits. D20 plus.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So your spell attack modifier. So your spell attack modifier.
+7.
+7.
Ooh. That eagle's good at fighting.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
15 plus 7.
Okay, that definitely hits the harpy. So now you can roll your D8 plus 6. That's pretty good. That's a pretty solid attack
And I
for
was reading on
this
that,
beast spirit.
he was like a boss.
9 points of damage to Harpy 2. Nice. All right. Or no, that's Harpy 3. Oops.
Probably 40. Wasn't 3 the one.
Wow, yeah. Harpy 4. Jeez.
Okay.
So many harpies, you guys. Okay. Top of the round. Wait, first, Captain is going to pop off a crossbow bolt at. Captain's probably close. No, he's going to pop off a crossbow bolt at 53 up there, because he's a little more warlike. And he knows that. 18 plus a little bit. And it's going to do 6 points of damage to that harpy.
You have to make it.
It is not, but the other crew member is going to roll a saving throw against now 20, and he does. So he is no longer charmed or moving towards that harpy. Freya, it is your turn. So it'll be at the end of your turn. So you're going to move basically towards where Bottom is right now. Yeah, I mean you'll the net about 2 feet up, so you'll actually climb the mast to get to the net, but yes. And so as you've got lots of movement, so I think you can get up on the net. But as you do, as you do that, harp is going to make on you. So that is 7 is the lowest. Misses you. So it misses. And you had a wisdom.
No.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, and now that you're up on that net, right by your new friend the harpy, and your turn is ending, you can make You do not. You still super love this harpy. Really, so beautiful. No. Yeah, Freya's like on a hard trip right now, and this is the most beautiful music. Can't understand why we're fighting anymore because we've encountered this natural beauty that's so pure. Yes, that's perfect. That is canon now. All harpies in this world sing Enya. Bottom, it is your turn.
I'm seeing harpies.
All right.
With a 19.
That hits.
4 points.
Okay. Is there a secondary effect to Ray of Frost?
No.
It's just cold
For
damage.
The beam of blue white light. Range spell attack. Hit 1d8. And its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of the next turn.
I thought so. There was something there.
Look at that.
Not much, but it's something. Speaking of something, what's your extra?
Oh, is this harpy close enough to the extra turn to not fall off the ship? But hit? I mean,
no.
Okay. Well then,
No.
we'll just skip.
But you can start moving towards it. I don't know what
I think it's. What is this? 40 feet.
Oh, he's moving really far.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, you can get there.
And we'll just.
Okay. Roll to attack.
Oh, no, he does not.
Okay. Well, he got there.
Right.
And that's a start. All right, now we're getting into Harpy turns. So Harpy 1 is going to make an about face and attack air. That's the- uh, that's a miss with 7, and with the club is 22. So that'd be 5 points of bludgeoning damage from the club. Oh yeah, Armor of Agathon. Boom. All right, this harpy screams in pain and is in very rough. This harpy is hanging on a thread, but it's still alive. And two, which is now facing. Are you a brown bear? Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now facing a
Sorry,
brown
black bear.
black bear. Now facing a black bear. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little intimidated. She's gonna. Bear? She doesn't know what metal man. Uh, with a 9
Yeah.
So the ooh, ooh, 8 points of damage with the claws to your bear.
But it missed, right?
No, it hit with the claws. It missed with the club. Get shoot they get so you're gonna take 8 points. And then she's freaked out, so she's gonna fly away, which means there will be attacks of opportunity if you choose. She's gonna fly up here and attempt to be out of range of. How's she looking? Not happy, but probably the least hurt, the least bloody of any of the current harpies. 18 hits. Yeah, so X can do its damage. Pando, you can make an attack of opportunity if you would like as bear. Okay. Uh, as she's flying away,
Yeah.
you get to make an attack of opportunity on her. Yep. Yep. So make your bear attack. That hits. Yeah. Shows not good tactics, Harpy.
So 4 for my height,
Okay.
and then my claws. 15.
15 to hit.
Yeah.
Okay, that hits. This escape attempt did not work out well for this harpy.
So it says 2d4. And then plus
Okay, so 5 more. Got it. All right. So as she tries to fly away, Big Metal Man and Bear tear into her pretty good. She does manage to get airborne and get out of your reach. She's definitely looking hurt. Harpy 3, who is still singing. Mhm. Yeah, the harpy is going to start trying to eat you because yeah, she's gonna gently and lovingly, and because you are charmed, was 14. So can't. She's definitely. She's a little confused. She's confused about why she can't disavow you and instead is now hugging you. Uh, this is the theme of this episode: unexpected hugs. Um, yeah, everyone up here on the net is confused. But she is going to continue singing. So that's fun and super weird. Harpy does not understand what's happening. Um, Harpy 4 is going to continue its aerial combat with the bestial spirit. Yeah. Misses with claws, and I gotta believe misses also, right? Yeah. So just flat out. And that means Mira's turn.
But I really wish one of these others
Guy. I think we got this one.
Yeah.
Unless you want to try to knock that song
I was just going to attack the
Okay.
well, now that we're hugging the harpy with Selena, it's really little that
Yeah, you're just wrapped around each other. The harpy has its wings around you and is trying to claw you, failing.
it's 14 actually.
Okay, 14 does hit. You have slain your first harpy. So as it kind of wheels around again, you stab your longsword into its heart, and yeah. Yeah. Anything else on your turn?
Okay. I guess I'm.
Yeah, everything's stillborn right now.
So I guess you can just walk along.
I don't know that you're walking, yeah, but like I'm gonna say it's sort of difficult terrain, but I'm not gonna that penalty to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean you can get up there. He didn't really build it for like as a combat platform. Right? But it was meant to just be a barrier to keep harpers.
Okay, then.
Okay. Very good. Pando Bear. Yeah, I mean, as a bear, you can climb the mast.
Right.
The net navigating the net will be interesting. But yeah, I mean, bears can climb trees. So. The net's only 10 feet off the ground, so you can get up to the net. And I'm this harpy that just flew away from you is higher than 10 feet up. It's hovering. I'm just putting it there for now. But the harpy that is getting a hug is pretty much at net level.
And see if it doesn't realize that
So I'm going to give you a risk reward option here. Because this is an unstable surface and you are a bear, not really built for walking across fishing nets. Yeah, you can either take disadvantage on this attack, or you can attack normally, but I'm going to make you roll an acrobatics check, and if you fail it, you're going to be in a weird spot and not be able to attack at all. So you can either like really carefully bear your way out there and be like, and try not to fall, or you can just bear your way out there and attack
I feel like
and see what happens. Okay.
Recognizing he's literally
Yeah.
you know what, I don't know yeah.
All right, so make your attack roll at disadvantage, please.
Okay.
Or both of your attack rolls. That's right. And take the lowest roll to and still add your modifier. Okay, so that's you're gonna definitely miss.
Probably gonna
That's
miss.
first one is definitely a miss.
So
So let's just move right to the second one. Okay, roll again.
Yeah. And
11 is the total of your roll with your modifiers. Okay, that does.
Okay.
So whatever your second, is that your claws?
Yes.
Okay, so claw damage on Harpy 2. Nice. All right. So delicately and carefully, this large brown bear creeps its way out onto the fishing net, tries to bite the harpy, but it's too wobbly out here, but does manage to get a pretty good claw rate down I think on the exposed wings that are sort of wrapped around. Yeah, just accidentally rakes her claws down. And then your eagle spirit can loop back around and or do whatever you.
More. Right.
There will be a roll. Oh no, you missed. Yeah, yeah. So, but is it a? Oh, that just gets one attack. So you just technically, I forget. Both crew members are going to get. They are both going to fire. I think they're both going to fire at 2 right now. In the air. Misses. Crew member. Really useful. Freya, it's your turn. Still hugging it out. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and the fact that the harpy's trying to attack you, but you aren't being attacked, right? I think it's just reinforcing the fantasy that like you got here and the harpy's returning your hug. And, like, yes. So that's gonna be your turn, but you do get to now try to separate yourself from this wisdom saving throw. 12 is enough. Finally, it's a very low DC, but you were rolling really bad. So, So you're free. So in the final moment of this round, you awaken to what's actually happening, and the harpy looks really different and smells really different up close. No, 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 no. This is literally the end of your rude awakening that you are now immune to the harpy's song for the next week. Tom. Yes.
You go ahead. I don't understand. So first off,
Okay.
and then as he moves the shelter.
Hmm. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, that does miss. I'm not gonna make you take damage, but I think there's a little bit of backfire here, and your hand is like rusty, and you kind of drop it and go up there, and have to make yeah. All right. Next up is I think just locking down some of these ropes. This would be used with that. Yeah, so it does stabilize a bit. And now we're going to get into Harpy. So Harpy 1 is dead. Harpy 2 is going to. Harpy 2. Harpy 2 is going to do what engineering says. Uh, does not really want to be bound by the net there. So that's 20. And both. So 12 points of damage total. Big round. Harpy 3, recognizing that you are not harmed anymore, is going to stop singing and um, well, um, he doesn't want to be here anymore, and they're not this way. So both of you will get opportunity attacks. But yeah, it's an interesting idea, but since it was only at the end of Freya's round that she awakened to this, I'm not going to give her the action here. If she had the ability to take an action or a bonus action, it definitely smells bad. But you can both strike out at this harpy as she flees. Um, I'm not going to make you take the penalty, but I'm giving you the same choice here. Disadvantage on your attacks or the risk of an interesting experience in the net. Okay. Freya. 30. That's a. Oh. Oh. It's like, 13 hits. 13 hits. You strike down a guy. Somewhere a griffin falls from the sky. No big deal.
Oh, man.
Maybe one day.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
And then
Well,
there's
actually,
two on the
you're a
second
warlock,
one.
so I don't know if it is.
So I
Freya.
I'm marketing with my
Yeah,
15,
15 hits.
21.
That really hits. Even more hits.
7.
7. All right. So she flies away badly bloodied, but she does get away. And badly bloodied. And last but not least, before is going to once again get after this beast of spirit. That's a 20 to hit. Claws and a 14 to hit. This is probably going to do it. 7 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the bestial, the spiritual eagle, with a final cry, vanishes. Sort of a wisp of sparkly spiritual dust. And air, it is your turn. Okay. And and then air is going to other. Okay. Actually, you know what? No. At who? At the harpy. Okay, that was 3. So go ahead. Badly bloody. 18. 18 hits. 3. Still badly bloody. Definitely not like Eldritch Blast, but still hovering out there. Yeah. Still hovering out there about 50 feet there off the bow. And Pando, it is your turn. Big Bear up next. What's the plan?
So I have speed down. I don't know.
They're up, so they're up here. Um, I will give you one opportunity.
Please tell me.
This guy right here, who was just fighting your eagle,
Yeah.
is maybe in jumping range.
Okay.
So this is you're getting a lot of reward opportunities here. This is reward. Bear can leap off of this traction. We're gonna roll an acrobatics check to see if you pull it off, pull off the jump, and if you do, you'll get to make uh, either your bite attack or your claw attack. And if you hit, you will put down the ground with you. And either way, you're gonna land and enjoy the fruit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go
All right, do it.
acrobatics
So
first.
make an acrobatics check as a bear. That's enough. I'm gonna give you that. So now it's gonna come down to whether you land the attack.
Okay.
So you're doing bite or claw?
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this.
Okay. Nope. so, uh, so here's how this goes. Enraged, you see Pando in her bear shape launch herself off of this net that's 10 feet off the ground and leap right against, and it doesn't impact. You hit the harpy, your body hits the harpy, and you try to chomp down on one of its wings, and just miss. She just kind of slides to the and and then you just fall to the deck. So you fall to the deck and you take points of damage as you land. Oh, okay. So you land bear disappears. Any excess damage? It knocks the bear right out of you.
Yeah.
6.
So that's 3 points.
Okay, so Panda takes. Panda takes. Okay, so I think let's switch this up. Um, I'll put these two up here. This one I'm not going to put up there. About like that. And, that's about 15 feet up. Freya, your turn. You're still up in the net. I'll offer you the same opportunity here. I can't really give it to only a bear. Mhm. Acrobatics. Well, you know what? You could do this as an athletics check. I mean, it is about how hard and far you can leap. Uh, all right, go for it. All right, make your attack against Harpy 2. You arrive at the Harpy in the air. Yes. 15 hits. 6 points of damage is pretty good. I'm gonna kill the Harpy. But because you land a hit, I'm gonna say that your body weight and the impact of your axe takes this Harpy down the deck. And so right next to it, essentially. You are, however, going to take damage. 3 points of damage as you land on the ground. And it does not have to be I did not. You lost your rage because you spent more than a full round without doing any attack. Mhm. Yeah, you can re-rage. You have a limited number of rages. You can definitely re-rage. Uh, okay. You get to make a second attack. Ooh. That's very cool. Need to understand the charge. Charger. You so unfortunately, you have to use a bonus action to make the additional attack, and you used your bonus action. So you have already, yeah. So you actually can't dash because the dash would be your bonus action, and the rage is your bonus action. So yeah. So you use your movement to do you used your action to attack. So all you have left in your turn is one bonus action. Rage is a bonus action, dash is a bonus action, and the charge attack is a bonus action. No. 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 Super. All right, I'll allow that. Autumn.
Think of Adam for a moment. Looks at it. Very
So
impressed.
Autumn positive bonus action pat yourself on the back.
We'll think. You know what? We're gonna just grab another. We're gonna grab something off of it
Sure.
and toss it at this guy.
Okay.
Oh, they have to see.
Oh,
Dexterity.
18. So half damage,
Yeah.
and that is 53. Fun fact, that's exactly their hit points. Falls into the sea. And is
So lame.
Stop stealing all Ares targets. All right, yeah. So you big pile of
Rare that
yeah. I think this was like a length of chain that went flying through there, and not only did it smack into her and do a bunch of damage, but it tangled up her wings and she just plummeted into the sea and rapidly sank. So that is the end of Harpy 4. 3 or gosh, who knows what. Now it is Harpy's turn. So Harpy 1 is the only Harpy that's still looking pretty healthy. Up here, or not Harpy 1, Harpy whatever. Oh yeah. That hits. Yeah, done. Second, third Harpy just obliterated by Big Metal Man. Boy, at this point, we're crazy. But it is going to gonna swoop down and attack Freya. 15. Oh, I guess what I meant is an 18. So, oh, and you asked me to 7 points. In this case, the consequence is 7 points. For the only remaining Harpy. Air, it's your turn. Okay. At long last, your master plan can be executed. um, yeah, but you could within melee range. So you could, if you want, if you got next to Freya, you could. There's an here to make an attack if you want to make a melee. I'm gonna leap off.
Yeah.
All right.
With the.
Okay. I mean, you can Misty Step above this thing if you want. Sure. Let's see. Let's see how that works. I'm gonna make a small ruling here, which is that if you land the attack, you're stable. If you miss the attack, you're gonna fall into the ocean.
I mean, either way, you're probably both gonna fall into the ocean and look at it. You're fairly slight. Maybe the harpy could keep. We'll see how that happens. I don't think so in this case. So I think. Yeah.
Didn't need it. Like I said.
Ooh, that's a big old hit. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a highly successful attack. So you all see air appear in a sort of puff of mist above this harpy and plunge her longsword in right between the shoulder blades of the harpy and give yourself a sturdy place to hang on to as the harpy screams and flails its wings. It is sinking towards the water, but is struggling and striving to keep itself afloat while it tries to reach over its back and club you off. Well, yeah, I think we did establish that, didn't we? Yeah, I think we did establish this in canon. All right, Pando, it's your turn. You've seen that your normal, you're back to normal self.
Yeah.
And you've seen air sinking towards the water on the back of a harpy, right off the bat.
Um, so, so you tell me, it's been used, but scanning for me, is it kind of something new as well?
I think that's true.
So as I
Yeah.
see,
Sure.
as I see going down inside, so I'm a little rusty.
Okay, I'm gonna get you here so you actually have an angle at it. 16 hits. Yeah. So first do your damage to the harpy. Solid damage. That's solid damage. And then you can pull them 10 feet closer to you
Yes.
with the thorn web.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do. I think we're gonna do it like. I'm just gonna do it like this. Yeah, I think it's the equivalent if you just pull the two of them up onto the deck. So 5 feet up and 5 feet over, and you guys collapse onto the deck. Sword's still embedded, I think. So much thanks for coming. Freya Pando, it seems, brought you a gift. A partially impaled harpy lands at your feet. It is your turn. Oh yeah, yeah. I think. Sorry, the captain will fire a crossbow. Oh, he actually hits. Look at him. Look at you, Captain. And he does 6 points of damage. Harpy's still alive. But this harpy's in really bad shape. So the coup de grace probably rests in your hands.
What I'd like to do is, could I step down my shield?
Okay.
That's an action though, right?
Doesn't no. Free. That's free.
I'm gonna just drop it because
Two-hand this.
yes, we'll go for my greatsword.
That definitely hits.
15.
Yeah, that's a lot more than you need. So Freya decides to end this combat with some overkill. This already impaled harpy with an arrow on its back and a thorn whip around its back. Freya turns around, throws her shield on the deck, pulls out her two-handed sword, and just hacks the whole thing in half. Just right through the torso.
This is the one that really
Yeah. And with that, we are out of combat. Sure.
Mm-hmm. One over here that I javelin stuck in her leg.
Yep, you can get that one back. The other one's lost in the sea, but you can get the other one back.
Oh, I'm just that is let's consider
Okay, so in the quick aftermath of this battle, you spend a little time cleaning up. The boy and the other crew member come up from underneath. Unless you are keen on driftwood clubs, the harpies really weren't in possession of anything. They came out here to uh, hunt, basically, yeah. Um, but you have successfully repelled their attack. And just so that I don't forget later, everybody can go ahead and take 200 experience points right now for that combat. Oh, nice. Yeah, badass. Like that. If you know it. Okay. And then you're all able to rest for the remainder of the day. So you can feel free to take a long rest on your D&D Beyond. So you are rested, recovered, and in what you expect to be your final day of travel. This little dangerous encounter behind you. I need one final roll here, a luck roll and a perception roll at advantage. Okay. With a 16, you encounter great weather on this last day of the journey. The winds are in your sails in the direction that you need. The captain is ecstatic that the weather has finally turned in your favor. The sun is out, it's starting to warm, and much earlier than you expect, you see the coastline and make great time. You encounter no danger, although at one point you do, Potom, get called to the bow of the ship by the exocomp. And for a period of about 4 hours of your travel, uh, there is a massive shadow under the ship uh, that is just sort of following you. It's positioned under the ship. Uh, the the exocomp notices it because it is substantially bigger than the actual shadow cast by the ship. There is a massive dark shape um, that kind of puts everyone on alert for a little while. But at a certain point, after about 4 hours, nothing has happened, and it sort of slowly fades away. No. 100% has no experience with this and no idea what it could be. If Panda would like to do something reckless, she could jump in the water and see what's up. But no, you super have there's a mystery, and it is deep enough that all you're seeing is a shadowy something. The captain also does not know what this is, by the way, because after several hours of this, like everyone on the ship knows this is there. He has never had this experience and is deeply unsettled. I mean, you can yell at the surface of the ocean. I, I, you're right. I intentionally set up the physics of this world so that, again, you can jump in the water, you can jump in the ocean and go try to talk to whatever this is. I'm happy to allow any of you to jump in the ocean. I invite you. I invite you to dive down and investigate what this shadow that is following your ship is. That is substantially larger than your ship. Go check it out. These are the trade-offs that we face in D&D all the time. Uh, here's the deal I'll make you. Um, if your justification for thinking you might have some information about this is your knowledge of Arcana, I will let you make an Arcana check, and then depending on the success of that check, I will give you what information I think is relevant. Same for nature, but I'm going to take into account what I think your characters are aware of and what this is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, whatever it is. Persuasion. I persuade the shadow to come talk to us. Okay, so first, with your knowledge of Arcana, you have a high level of confidence that what you are seeing is organic and not some magical effect. The way that it is moving, like it's not perfectly shadowing your ship, it's not locked to your vessel like a spell might be if there was some effect that had been attached to your ship. You're pretty sure there's a critter down there or something. Pando has no direct experience with this, so you do not know what is down there. But you come to a similar conclusion to Potom, which is that this is some kind of huge beast. Not huge, gargantuan would be the language we would use in D&D. Because it is moving organically in some ways. And you can kind of recognize that as you watch the shadow. But you have no idea what this could be. I mean, you live on an island, so it's not like you haven't heard of whales or something, but you've never seen a whale. You don't know how big a whale actually is. You've seen an orca. This is way bigger than that. And it just never comes close enough to the surface for you to get any clue other than there's something really big and dark down there. So, I guess the only other thing I would say is it's moving fast enough to keep up with your ship in great weather with a stiff tailwind, which means it's really fast for its size. Yeah. So whatever it is, that's enough for you to know it's probably very powerful, or a very powerful swimmer. Yeah, I mean, unless you're going to jump in the ocean or something or stop the ship, you don't have a lot of other alternatives. The captain's not interested in stopping the ship, to be clear. He wants to not be by this. So after a few hours, the shadow just sort of diminishes until it's gone. So probably has just decided to dive and not follow you anymore. And as I said earlier, because of your excellent weather, you approach the mainland faster than you expected. So you were the captain was projecting that you would make landfall probably this evening or around sunset. But now it's closer to high noon when you actually enter the sort of river delta. So the reservoir here that you're entering, the Chinkash Reservoir, is it's not a lake, right? It's more of a fertile river delta where a very large Chinkash River intersects the ocean, and so the water becomes pretty shallow quickly, but it also becomes really cloudy and muddy. So I don't know if you've ever seen like aerial images of places where the ocean water and river water meet, and there's almost like a line where it's really blue and then it's like brown.
Yeah.
You basically cross that line. Interestingly, it's right around the time you cross that line that that shadow disappears. And that's not into it. And you make your way into the reservoir and start sailing up the river towards Nantong. The river, as I said, is extremely wide at this place, and you start to see an increase of traffic of other ships. There are a couple blade patrol ships. There are other merchant vessels, some very large merchant vessels entering here, much deeper keeled than yours. So it's the river, though shallower than the ocean, is deep enough to support some pretty significant trade. And you see lots of little local fishing vessels. So the 1-2 man operations. There's lots of family fishing going on around here. And the very first thing you notice is that the vast majority of humanoids that you're seeing now are minotaur, although you do see a number of gnolls interspersed here as well, and some elves and a few humans, which is relatively new because there were almost no humans on the island where you've spent most of your time so far. Um, not a lot of uh, not a lot of mixing because a lot of the ships that you're seeing, other than the larger merchant vessels, a lot of the ships you're seeing are pretty much small uh, family businesses, right? It's a family on a fishing boat hauling in nets. Um, you sail up the river for several hours, and in mid to late afternoon arrive at the port of Nantong. Nantong is an interesting city, a new experience for all of you. First thing you notice is that the city itself is set back from the river a good mile, mile and a half. The port is sort of self-standing, but behind the port, uh, where all the wagons are loaded up and commerce is taking place, there's then a wide, almost highway that goes from the port to the walled city behind it. So think a much smaller version of like if you've been to the Denver airport. The airport's way the heck out in the middle of nowhere, and then you got to drive into town. It's kind of like that, but on a much smaller scale. So the hustle and bustle of the port is physically separated from this walled city that's set back and up the hill a little ways. The city itself uh, is simple. It's a simple design, but very well engineered. So immediately, Potom, even from a distance, you recognize the clean lines and symmetry of these walls. It is a set of concentric rings. So there's the outer walls, and then as you come into the city, you'll see there are inner walls as well, less and less focused on defense as you come towards the center of the city, and just more decorative and about creating districts in the city. It's yeah. Makes much faster. Rail cars. Um, so as you come in to the port, the other thing you notice, I think, depending on your experience, is that the port looks like the kind of place that's like architecturally is constantly turning over. So there's some old buildings, there's some kind of buildings of moderate age, there's some brand new construction. And that's a little bit in contrast to at least what you can see from a distance of the walled city, which looks relatively untouched, or at least the walls look as close to ancient as you've seen, like equivalent to some of what you saw at House Kieran's estate, like some old stuff. These walls have been around for a long time. Surprisingly advanced engineering for their age, but old. Whereas the port really modern feeling. It's been around for a long time, but it's constantly turning over. As you arrive at the port, you pull into a small berth, and the captain thanks you for your help with the harpies and for your pretty substantial payment in gold, which he's going to do a lot of good things with. And then as soon as you disembark, he's gone. Pulls out right away. Does not stay uh, to hang out in Nantong. He's got other places to be. So the boy gives you a wave as you go, and yep. And you are now standing in the busy port district of Nantong. The port here is easily twice the size of the docks district of Chukip. Um, this is a significant, at least the most significant harbor town you've been to so far. This is would be considered a major port. What would you like to do? Sure. Yeah. Well, so there's yeah, there's a primary reason, which is that, well, there's two reasons. The most urgent reason was you needed to escape because your lives were being threatened and you had to get the heck out. But the primary reason you came here is that the tracking device that Potom managed to pass along through the supply chain of evil uh, is pointing in this direction. And now, having made landfall on the mainland in this area, you're getting a more accurate ping than you were way over in Chukip. So back there, you were getting just sort of a spotty, generalized, we need to go this way. At this point, you have you don't have information about distance, but you have a steady tone that is nearly due west, just a little bit south from the city of Nantong. So that's the primary reason you're here. Is it was the closest port that the captain knew of that would take you away from Chukip fast and in the direction you eventually wanted to go. Yeah. I mean, you at this point you've been at sea for 5 days. I would imagine your group is at least somewhat looking forward to a night in normal accommodations and a hot meal. Those have been not part of this 5 day journey. Um, Here in the port area, there is you can look around very quickly and see there's sort of a low budget inn where sailors and stuff would stay. Um, or it's a mile and a half walk up to the walls of the city, and you could enter Nantong. So that's a great question, and one that you would have to do some work to answer. I bet I could get a full size beer here. What I can tell you just immediately is that you are not getting looks here the way that you have in some other places, right? So this is a much more cosmopolitan port environment than most of the places you've been so far. Chukip, pretty much elves everywhere.
Yeah.
Some tabaxi. Featherwand, all tabaxi all day, just kitties everywhere. And so you all have stood out. Yeah, you all have stood out like sore thumbs in a lot of the places. Some of you have, right? Your group has been pretty recognizable because of how distinct you are. Here, that's much less the case. You see it more than one dragonborn. You you see humans, gnolls, tabaxi, minotaurs. There's mostly minotaurs here, but there's all yes. Um, but at this place, you actually do see. I mean, there's enough people flooding around here. There's hundreds of people flooding around this port. You see a halfling. You see people that you didn't expect to see. Really, the only race you don't see a rock gnome, but they might be here. You don't see any reason that you wouldn't, uh, other than the fact that they mostly don't live on this continent. Um, you don't see any dwarves. No. Hmm. Sure. Uh, so really, the question is, stick in the port or head into town. Okay. All right. So you walk up the road. It takes you. I mean, it's not that far. So 15, 20 minutes. It's a broad, well kept, almost highway. Right. It's not a long road, but it's heavy merchant traffic. The first thing you notice is that the road is really well constructed. It's made of cobblestones that appear to be constructed out of like baked river mud of some kind, but they're holding up really well. And you actually even do see maintenance crews replacing these cobbles here and there. This is a well trafficked and well maintained road, probably 40 feet wide. Yeah, I would guess that Potter's probably curious about the process because baked river mud probably wouldn't hold up very well unless you're unless there's a formulation here that really uh, makes it better. And there's something going on there, but you don't know what it is right now. I mean, maybe magic and science. Well, let me say this. I think you know enough about just the Minotaur vassal state because you've lived in Chukip your whole life. And there's some traffic there, right? You've been a citizen of the empire for a long time, and I think the same for Pando. The Minotaurs uh, are famous for two things. They're famous for their um, for their capability in combat or warfare specifically, not just like one Minotaur is good at fighting, but the Minotaur people that they're they're really good at war. Um, and no, well, they're very small, right? Compared to the the Elven Empire, they were smallest of the vassal states. Uh, um, it was the air dominance that eventually took the Minotaurs out. But the reason they were so uh, good at warfare is they are highly academic. So the Minotaur colleges of both engineering, science, and magic are all world renowned. Um, and one of the reasons the Minotaurs were so hard to defeat is that their engineering prowess uh, made them it exponentially increased their effectiveness, the effectiveness of their already very strong warriors. So there is a culture among the Minotaurs of the scholar warrior that is a big part of how you earn honor. So whether going full academic or full warrior or the pinnacle of Minotaur society is some combination of the two to earn honor. And you see that reflected in the city immediately as you approach. So as you march up this sort of highway, you approach these walls, and the outer walls are about 12 feet high. And as you get closer, you see that designed to, these are designed for defense and very well designed. So they're not technically rings. They're not. It's not a circle. They're a many-sided shape. Right? But they're, yeah, faceted. Let's say they're about 12 feet in height and lined with crenellations, arrow slits, anti-siege stations of all kinds. Uh, it looks like when fully staffed and equipped that this city could repel a siege really effectively for a long time. Interestingly, though, a lot of these very clever defenses appear unused. So the siege stations don't necessarily have trebuchets or uh, things in them. There's cauldrons for boiling oil, but you don't see any fires lit. There are patrols on the walls, so you see um, minotaur guards walking around, but not as many as you would expect, and not posted at many of the strategic locations. Uh, so this is something I think Freya you pick up on right away. This is a city that's been at peace for a long time, or at least at their version of peace. The other thing you notice is that the uh, walls, while patrolled by minotaurs, are in squads with elves in command. So you see blades in what is clearly the role of sergeants ordering these minotaurs around, who are guarding the walls. As you enter the city, so the city gates in the front are a massive portcullis, which is raised at the time. Each of the um, bars of this portcullis are, well, they look like harpoons. They're massive, with big spikes in the bottom that you can see lock into grooves in the ground. Uh, Interesting engineering note. You notice that once the blades of this harpoon settle into those grooves, they're actually hinged so they can twist and essentially lock into the ground so that they not literally can't be lifted up without breaking all the blades off. Um, but right now they're wide open. And as you stroll in through the gates, you encounter broad streets that throughout the city that are paved with the same bricks that this highway is. You notice that the homes are built uh, very sturdily with clean lines. This is a really lush area, and so there's a lot of wood in use for this building, but also these same river mud bricks used quite a bit. The streets are surprisingly tidy for a city of this size. You don't see a lot of refuse on the ground. It doesn't smell like a big city at least in a dirty way. The smells that you get as you walk into the city are of sort of uh, fertile river water, right? The smell of the river is really pervasive all through here. The air is sort of humid with just a hint of that rising summer heat here in early summer. It smells like cattle because that's most of the population. And also exotic spices and foods, because immediately upon entry to the city, you walk into um, a busy marketplace here in the afternoon. So this marketplace has been obviously set up at the city entrance to capitalize on all of the merchant traffic and travelers as soon as they come into the city. Uh, but from this position, the city actually it's almost shaped like a cone. So the outer walls are the highest point in the city, almost the inverse of what you were used to in Chukip, where the higher as you moved into the city, it got higher and higher up the cliffside. Here, the walls are the highest, the outer walls are the highest point of the city, and from up here, you can see down into every level of the city. You actually see there are 8 uh, sort of spoked streets coming inward that all meet in the center. And there are 3 concentric rings of the city: the outer wall, an inner uh, wall that is not really defensive, but looks like the equivalent of the walls around the noble houses in Chukeep, right? Enough to keep the rabble out, probably, but the kind of they're not the kind of walls that guards are walking on top of, right? They're probably 8-foot stone walls with lots of gates. People are passing in and out, but there are only 8 gates, the 8 main spoked roads that go into the city center. And then towards the very center of the city, there is a single additional ringed wall that is low enough to be looked over. It's much more symbolic, it looks like. And in the very center of the city, in the center of that ringed wall, there's only a single structure surrounded by pretty lush gardens. And that single structure is, well, you can tell from here, is some form of arena with sort of stadium seating, open air arena. You're too far away to see more detail than that. But big picture, that's a feel for this city. And you're now standing in the midst of a busy bazaar, essentially. There are merchants of all stripes here, calling out their wares. There's food vendors and all kinds of things. It's not unlike the experience in the promenade in Chukeep, but much more diverse, larger, a little more chaotic, but interestingly, never interrupts the flow of traffic. So it is the streets are wide enough and things are carefully marked out, and merchants are careful not to let their stuff spill into the flow of traffic. Sure. Yeah, I think this is a place where you can definitely find something that is familiar to you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Yeah, so there's a fishmonger there who's set up right next to like a sandwich shop, basically. And there's a dragonborn behind that counter that is hacking up fish and is able to produce something pretty close to what you are looking for, and actually gives you a silent but culturally appropriate nod of respect, recognizing your. I think he senses the nobility, right? Uh, not an outright uh, your honor or your majesty or anything like that. Doesn't know that, but there's something that a dragonborn who know can tell, and there's just an acknowledgement there. Your readings are steady here, so I would say pretty intuitively, uh, you know that because of the level of detail you're getting here, which is still not a lot, you're getting a steady tone and a direction. But because you're not getting distance readings yet, you know that you are still pretty far away. I forget the exact numbers that we attached to this.
Oh yeah.
But oh yeah, that's right. I couldn't figure out how to do that. That's all right. I will. I'll pull it up here. Long range probes. Yes. So what you know is that because you now have a clear direction, but no, it hasn't kicked in at the locate object spell level where you're like, it's this far away and in this direction, that you are somewhere between 1 and 499 miles away from your destination. So you have a clear direction, but you're like, it's this direction, some amount of steps that way.
Right.
What you do know is that it will warm in your hand as you approach. So, yeah, you can play hot and cold, basically. Yeah, I'm using it too much. Gotta put it down for a little bit out of the sun. Yeah. So, uh, what are you seeking out first here in the city, or how are you going about? What's the objective next? That's That'd be cool. Yeah, you're late afternoon at this point. So you've had a snack, you've entered the city, you've kind of got the at least topographical lay of the land. I've 100%. Yeah.
So if we stay in the city for one night, what would be like entertainment for the night? In the city for something actually fun to do.
Well, so you can ask around. First thing I'll say is the first thing you notice, because this is your first time in Minotaur territory, really good bread. Really good bread here. So lots of bakeries everywhere you go. What they do with grains in this town, unbelievable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's like, yeah. Well, we'll talk about it in the morning. But when you wake up in the morning, that you are you are told maybe by some people, if you're chatting people up to see like what there is to do in this town. One of the first things that somebody tells you, and an elf that you're talking about who travels through this town from time to time, is like, you'll smell it tomorrow morning. Just the streets smell like cinnamon buns and honey, and like it's just get ready for breakfast. Don't eat too much tonight. Save room for breakfast.
I feel like kind of it's just fun. We are fun by. We've been living then I feel like we've got a really long time.
All right, so give me a quick investigation check. Somebody who's on the lookout for the night spot.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great.
You just like come running up suddenly like
Yeah, I like it. Um, so I think Potom starts marching downhill along the main spoke road that you entered, uh, assuming that that's where most travelers enter the city, and that things that are businesses that are attempting to service out of towners are probably going to be on this main drag. And that turns out to be true. So you pass a number of inns and restaurants and pubs and taverns and things of that nature. Um, there's not dozens of these or anything. It's not that big of a city, uh, but you see a selection of um, really there's only a couple of places that are just entertainment establishments, just bars. Most places are some combination of rooms to rent, some small basic foodstuffs, and bars. Your classic D&D tavern kind of setup, inn and tavern, right? And you've got those at what I would consider a low end. That's that's the automatic cat feeder with Carolyn's voice recording. Um, this is very silly. So you see a range from what I would consider low end, not gross, like nothing in this town is shoddy, but clearly budget, right? Like you're in Rome and there's a hostel, right? It's that level, and the hostel's got a bar and they have Wi-Fi, but it's not going to be fancy digs. Um, at the next level, what I would consider to be more like merchant class. So the people who are coming through here, either elves on holiday, uh, not elites. Well, there people come to the mainland to explore, right, and go run around. Probably not. These aren't the places where nobles would stay. Nantong is probably not a city where the elites would come in summer or anything. But a well-off elven merchant might want to stay in slightly nicer digs, and so there are some places that cater to those. And then there are a couple places that are clearly for locals. So everything's built just a little bigger, right? The doors are a little wider and taller. There's room for horns. Um, yeah, it's just a cutout. Um, and those establishments are Uh, so are you looking for you've got eyes on a lot of this stuff. So are you looking for a place to stay and eat and have a drink, or are you looking to just, as you said, get into some trouble right now and worry about a place to stay later? You also pass a couple shops um, on the way. What would it be the equivalent of a largish general store uh, and a place called Mahala Morana, which uh, sure. Mahala Murana looks to be more of a high-end equipment shop. Um, it's smaller than the general store. It has a few um, weapons hung in the sort of windows for window shopping, and you can tell at a glance that these are exquisitely crafted. Um, if you're looking for a potion shop, you'll have to hunt a bit. You don't see one of those on the main drag. You don't see anything that's explicitly advertised as a magic shop. You could certainly ask around or check inside one of the shops that I've just described. Okay, general store or Mahala Marana or inns or taverns. Oh, okay, okay. Uh, well, so there's two approaches. You can walk around and look for it, or you can stop and talk to somebody. Okay. Uh, Mahala Morana. Sure. Malala. We go to Malala's place. Um, Mahala Marana is Mahala in this case means shop or establishment. Marana is the name of the proprietor. And as you walk in, you see this is a moderately sized but beautifully appointed shop. primarily dealing in weapons, but some different kinds of equipment, and you do see a small rack of potions and other things that you recognize to be either alchemical or magical in nature, or you assume to be. Um, this shop is laid out basically in a big U shape. So I'm picturing the equivalent of some like jewelry shops where everything is sort of counter and all the employees are behind the counter, but there's lots of stuff on display in the counters, and there's sort of a common space in the middle where customers are kind of milling about. There are four staff in this shop right now, kind of spread out, various and sundry helping customers. Um, Two of them are tabaxi, one is a human, and then there's one very large, well dressed minotaur who has sort of decorative gold caps on the tips of his horns, who is sort of standing near the back at a high table, looks like maybe doing some figures in a book. Um, and as soon as you walk in, you're greeted by one of the tabaxi, who just provides a friendly greeting, not pushy, just welcome to Mahala Marana, honored guests. Okay. So yeah. So you are gestured over, and he immediately starts asking follow-up questions, right, to try to get a sense of what in specific you are searching for. Master Marana makes a wide array of finely crafted items, both alchemical, magical, and mundane. Excuse me, nothing is mundane at Mahala Marana. But perhaps you could uh, guide me to better understand your needs so that I can help connect you with the item that you are seeking. Ah, certainly. I just want to something I can wear that makes me better at doing things. Uh, yeah. Um, Certainly. So they direct you first to a few sets of armor and similar defensive items. So there are a couple suits of armor or sets of armor. There is a shield made of a brightly glossed sort of enamel kind of look to it. Um, and then there's a set of bracers in the counter that they direct your attention to, and also a couple of rings in the case. And he sort of points to all of these and says, uh, all of these items are designed around increasing one's survivability, let's say, in this dangerous world. Mm. Let me just get my good list up here. So, role playing aside, these are bracers of defense. While you're wearing these bracers, you get a +2 bonus to armor class if you are wearing no armor and using no shield. Exclusively for folks who, well, you know some people who do that actually. So for some people, that's a super cool thing. For you, maybe less so. Monks and barbarians generally think that stuff's pretty cool. There is also a ring of protection. There are a couple rings actually. So the it's going to be a lot of money. So the Ring of Protection gives you a +1 bonus to armor class and a +1 to all your saving throws. I mean, yes, the Ring of Protection. This ring is currently priced at 9,500 gold pieces.
Cool, maybe
Sure. Um, it also shows you a Ring of Resistance. The Ring of Resistance, you can attune. Well, they have a selection of these available that provide when you're wearing resistance to certain types of damage. So they have a ring of resistance to acid, they have a ring of resistance to lightning, and they have a ring of resistance to psychic damage. Those three are available. Each of those rings are priced at 6,000 gold pieces.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe next week. Still. Yes. So bring you over there. You see. Sorry, let me just see if this is important work stuff. Work people on a Sunday. You have somebody on the road right now, so that could be a law. Okay, not an important work thing. So there are. So first of all, there are healing potions here, of various levels. So there are just sort of standard little vials, which would be a standard potion of healing. Basically, yeah. The 5-hour energy of D&D healing. Those are available at 55 gold pieces. There are larger ones, which you would know out of character as a potion of greater healing, which pack a little more punch. Those are running 350 gold pieces a piece. And then there is a big one like this that is what we would call a potion of superior healing that packs a really big punch. Those are running 600 gold pieces. Okay, I said those were 55. Okay. Okay, so 165 and 110. Fair. There is there is one more interesting potion that I will tell you about that now I kind of don't want to tell you about, but I will. There is one potion of fire breath available, which is kind of fun. And in fact, that's how it's described to you. The tabaxi says, here's a fun yeah. For 175 gold pieces, the potion of fire breath enables you to breathe fire several times for a brief period of time. Okay, we're swapping. Gonna swap them out. All right, very good. 175 gold pieces is the total then, so just 10 more. Um, and you have yourself a potion of fire breath. Oh, there's only one, and Potham just bought it. Mm-hmm.
So it's a greater potion thing. The greatest degree is
You just rate straight potion of healing is what it should say. Right. Okay. Anything else you want to do in this shop?
I don't know what's off or something. Because you just bought all this stuff.
Well, I didn't. And
Got it.
airbrush, airbrush off it.
The classic airbrush.
Get back into this.
I
Better hold on to that.
I think as you're engaged in this transaction and kind of getting ready to wrap up, ironic. The large minotaur at a certain point sets down the quill pen that he's using and turns and sort of looks across the store and seeing you and the discussion that you're in. My guess is that maybe he overhears Potham getting into some uh, kind of nerdy alchemical discussion about the potions and whether this ingredient or this ingredient was used and trying to get a sense of
bubbling.
right, right. Something of that catches this proprietor's ear, and Master Morana himself comes over and uh, is an 8 foot tall minotaur, of course, and so sort of towers over you, but kind of leans over the counter to bring his head down a little closer to yours and says, um, "It is a great pleasure to have a shrewd mind enter my establishment. Clearly, you are a man of learning, and a learned man, familiar with alchemical components and processes." In, indeed, an honorable pursuit to hone one's mind. Might I ask, you seem a capable group, and as one with some learning, are you, uh, if you ever find yourselves out and about and come across curiosities or interesting alchemical components, my customers often demand interesting projects that require rarities and curiosities to accomplish. Uh, I am always on the lookout for contractors or those that could help me in my pursuit of the rarer components. Uh, perhaps if you stumble across such things, we could come to a beneficial arrangement. I don't often encounter those who I believe would have an eye for what it is I'm actually looking for. Um, uh, he's not disinterested in that. If you pull out Griffin, Griffin feet and beak, um, I'm a little curious as to how well preserved they are. So I'm not. That's a. It's been a little bit that you've been lugging these around. Just briefly, how has Potham been carrying these around? Because they're not small. Okay, so this is very Potham to me. Uh, you pull out this wrapped bundle that does not smell good, and probably has some like liquid at this point that has soaked into the bundle. That's it's a little rancid, but the main bulk of what's in here is still in good shape. And it hasn't been months or anything, but it's been a little bit. No, wait, it has 100% been months. Yeah, it has been months. So no, no, yeah, I think I'm going to assume that at some point you noticed the smell and maybe did something about it. Yeah, yeah. So knowing that you do have some alchemical expertise, let's retcon this. That at some point in your downtime, you actually put these things in like a lye bath uh, or an acid swab or something, and you've got these down to essentially just the bone or the raw materials here. There's no meat left on this, and so you pull out a set of well preserved griffin claws and beak. And he looks at him and says, "Ah, uh, while I while I cannot say that these are the rarity of what I am hopeful to discover, these are certainly something I can make use of. The griffin is not an uncommon beast here in our region, but these are well preserved, and certainly I could use the claws in a decorative manner and the beak perhaps to shape something of use. Yes, yes. If you're willing to part with these, I could give you 50 gold in cash immediately. Indeed, this works well for me. He waves at his tabaxi employee who passes over one of the potions of healing. Uh, and mm, okay. Just plucked out every thread of embroidery. Um, yeah. So first of all, this thing's really big. Uh, okay, okay. Yeah, that's fine. That plays. Um, hmm. Hmm. Yeah, let's just. So yeah, so he says, interesting. Uh, this is not the type of equipment that we would generally work with. While of fine craftsmanship, I might suggest this is something you could resell to the general store or perhaps a craftsman. Uh, I'm not sure I would feel comfortable even after some work placing this in my store window. But should you come across, again, interesting alchemical components, magical curiosities, relics of a bygone age, interesting mechanical devices, these are all of great use to me. And in fact, several of my regular contractors have found luck exploring the ruins of some of our ancient pre-war Minotaur cities that can be found to the west of here. So, should you do any exploring and come across things that, well, frankly, if you're just not sure what they are, or if you are very certain of what they are and think I would find them useful for the creation of various magical items, I think future arrangements could be beneficial to us both. It was a pleasure to serve you. And he sort of steps away, and the tabaxi finishes up your transaction and says, "Thank you again for your generous patronage of Mahala Marana. Please tell your friends." Okay. Sure. Let's clear it out. Um, so here's the trade-off I'll give you. You can sell this thing for not a lot. I'll give you 15 gold pieces for it, uh, no questions asked. Or you can attempt to sell this thing for more and potentially take some heat. Okay. Done.
Right.
Not every roll is a good roll. No. Infinite money glitch. Infinite money glitch. We found it. Kill the grip. We got it. That's very funny. All right, the sun is starting to hang low in the sky. Are we going to look for a place to stay, or what's the plan now? So the biggest question here is what kind of experience slash how much do you want to spend? Uh, Low end, uh, hostel style, merchant class, let's live large a little bit, or do we find a local establishment that's sort of in the middle ground? Mhm. Okay. Yeah. So you find there's a local establishment that that draws your attention. It's Minotaur size. Uh, it is, and I think what draws you in is that at this time of day it's starting to get pretty loud. Like you can hear from the street that there's stuff going on in here. There's some music. There's some voices. You're laughing and probably toasting each other. This place is called Bucky's, and as you march into Bucky's, you see this is the aesthetic is if an Old West saloon was built in a like a medieval German city. That's a weird way to describe it, but it is like if a Wild West saloon was built really efficiently and was very clean. So it's rowdy. There's a lot going on. People are having a great time, but it is also just slightly overstaffed. So the service is very efficient. There are like people wiping up counters aggressively, bussing tables hard. Um, it's a fast moving place. You see food coming in and out of the kitchen real quick. Yes, no. Uh, yeah, there are there are big serving trays being moved around this room by both Minotaur, Knoll, and human servers with large pewter tankards, uh, some of them nearly the size of Potam's torso. Uh, there are big tranches of food being brought around, a lot of what smells like heavily spiced root vegetables, probably pan fried or in some cases deep fried. Minotaurs are not purely herbivores, so there's a fair amount of meat flying around this room. A lot of sausage, a lot of lamb going on in here. Uh, and again, exotic spices. It smells uh, like a Mediterranean or like Greek restaurant, probably. A lot of those kind of spices in the air. And there's probably 50 people in this common room already at this point. It's full on dinner service. Um, However, as soon as you walk in, a human host approaches you quickly and asks you if you'd like a table, if you prefer to just find a spot at the bar, or if you're here looking for accommodations. Okay, excellent. So to stay the night in this establishment, you want a single room. I know you're planning to. A room has in this establishment has two beds, so if you're going to bunk up together or get real cozy, a single room is one gold piece for the night and includes your dinner. Or obviously, you can get more than one room if you want to be more comfortable. I mean, you're not high end wealthy anymore, but you're at this point you're kind of adventurer rich. Uh, so you've hit the point in most D&D journeys where like the basic day to day expenses are not going to have a huge impact on your ability to survive the next fight. Yeah. Real. I like it. All right, so two gold pieces lighter. The host sends a one of the employees off to prepare your rooms and get them all cleaned up and ready for you. You're provided a key for those rooms, and then you're escorted immediately to a section of community table. So again, it's busy here, but there are a few seats close together at a long community table, um, and the a server quickly approaches you and asks if you're going to want the dinner because there is a dinner being served standard, or if you're going to want something special. So the dinner tonight is basically big slices of roast lamb with a good size like hmm, looks like about a pound and a half of fried potatoes or some kind of root vegetable, heavily spiced, uh, and a big ass beer. That's that's dinner. Okay. Yes, yes. And in fact, there's already bread on the tables. There's just baskets of bread on every table, and it is heavily salted. Uh, it is like a dark. It's like a dense pumpernickel kind of a color, uh, but not quite crunchy. It's not quite cracker, but it's a drier kind of bread. And there's like rock salt basically embedded in this stuff. It is 100% designed good. It's 100% designed to keep you drinking. It is the bar popcorn of Minotaur Town for sure. Yeah. All right, so you settle in. There's people packed in next to you on both sides. There's a lot of energy and fun going on here, and it doesn't take long if you want to strike up conversations with people around you and learn more about what's going on in this town. Uh, there are some card and dice games going on at different tables. This is not a gambling establishment, but it's a bar where people come hang out and do whatever they want. And so if you wanted to try to insert yourself into a game, you could certainly do that, or you can just chat people up and learn a little bit more about the city. Okay. Nice. Why don't you make for me just a general charisma check, and let's see how people are feeling Pando's vibe.
All right.
Yeah. Pando's in fine form. I think she gets her two hands around this big stein of beer and gets about a third of it down and gets real warm, and starts chatting up a very large Minotaur couple right next to her, and they're into it. They're like, "Yeah, let's go with your tiny hands and your giant beer," and they're having a good time. Um, yeah, bemused is the right word. So you find out a couple things. You ask some questions about the city. So the first thing you learn is that Marana's, where you visited, Mahala Marana, is probably the most respected merchant in town. Marana himself is an honored scholar of the city who retired from teaching at the college to exclusively create interesting items. Was again out of character. He's basically a fairly high level version of what Podham's class. He's an arcanist, is what his official title was when he was in the college. Um, but he is very well respected and pretty well off. People come from off continent to get access to some of the things that he produces. And so it is no surprise to them when you sort of gently express the sticker shock of some of the items in there. They're like, oh, yeah, nobody can afford Morana's stuff. Um, you also learn a little bit more about Minotaur culture. So we haven't talked a lot about the vassal clans and kind of how this works, but just through conversation, the way that somebody maybe on vacation would chat up a local and they'll, oh yeah, here's kind of how it works around here. You'll learn some things. So we mentioned this earlier, but the Minotaurs were the smallest nation in population to be conquered by the elves, but they still command a lot of respect because of their military ferocity and their engineering genius. They brilliant tacticians, powerful warriors. They were the last nation to fall on the mainland to the elves, so they held out the longest. Um, they are they're still very valued by the Elden Empire because of both their physical and mental prowess. So they generally occupy, though they are vassals, they generally occupy a slightly different caste in the Elden Empire than many of the other vassal races. So you won't often see Minotaurs in the role of slaves, but more often in the role of contractors or sometimes maybe indentured servitude, but typically not. There's a tentative respect there. Um, and the other thing that you learn and recognize is that the leadership of the Minotaur vassal state is actually based on a matriarchal religious order called the Synod. So the Synod is led by, again, female Minotaurs, and it emphasizes ancestor worship. So the the community as a whole, where did my cursor went? They refer to themselves as the Oshira. The Oshira essentially means extended family, and when they say Oshira, that's inclusive of all minotaurs living and deceased. So the Sinok serve and guide the Oshira. All minotaurs living and deceased, and most minotaurs, all minotaurs are familiar with this concept of the Oshira. It's sort of, it is both the object of worship and a guide for their philosophy and their sense of honor and sense of society. We're all part of the Oshira, and we all uh, strive to honor the Oshira. Yeah. Yeah, there's reasons why the Dragonborn and the Minotaurs, um, not that they haven't had conflict, but there's some mutual respect there because of very similar belief structure at least. The other thing you learn is that the structure at the center of this city is both arena and temple. So one of the ways um, that Minotaurs worship, and also one of the ways that Minotaurs worship is to grow their own personal honor, to add to their essentially tally of honor. And you can do that a lot of ways. You can do that by doing things that serve the Oshira and that grow their influence or security or care for others. So there's a long tradition of Minotaurs building their honor through public service or acts of charity or things like that. But one of the ways that you can also grow your honor is through ritual combat in the arena by proving yourself to be a powerful warrior. And so, it is not. So fights in the arena, um, fights in fights in the arena are not intentionally fatal. Uh, no, it is a yield situation. Yeah, and so deaths are not unheard of in the arena, but that is not the goal. This is not gladiatorial combat for sport. This is meant to prove yourself against a worthy opponent. There are very clear rules for how this combat happens. The combats are overseen by the Synok, by the matriarch, specifically the matriarch of the city. The matriarch of Nantong is Rais Al Madina Omari. Rais Al Madina is her title. Omari is her family name. She's essentially the recognized vassal administrator and matriarch of Nantong. So she's the boss of the Minotaurs here, but not in charge, of course, because there is an elvish mayor who technically is in charge. But to every Minotaur, uh, Rais Al Medina Omari is the recognized leader, and it is she that presides over the ritual combat in the temple. Other forms of worship happen in the temple as well. The temple is also a center of learning, so it is the place where the youngest, thank you, where the youngest Minotaur children in the city go for their early education. Um, After basically elementary school, all Minotaur children follow a specific track of learning, and then they head off to one of the different colleges to study more specifically. But all of the youth are educated first in the temple. So most days, that's what's going on there. It's basically an elementary school 6 days out of the week, and one day out of the week, ritual combat. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is accessible to anyone. Uh, the So the Minotaurs have an interesting belief, and not everybody believes exactly the same. But the most common uh, understanding the of the creed is that the Ashira is not just about it's not about your race. That one can become, one can join the Oshira by proving that your spirit is of the Oshira. And so a non-Minotaur can prove themselves in various ways, including in ritual combat in the arena, to be of the Oshira. The bar is higher. Uh, so it's not enough just to win a fight, but to be adopted into the Oshira through ritual combat. There is a gauntlet, a series of combats. One would have to defeat a champion. But uh, but but all are welcome into that ritual combat, and for non-minotaurs it is not seen as a dishonor to be defeated in that ritual combat as long as you follow the rules. Yeah. You are 2 days away from the day of ritual combat here in Nantong. So not tomorrow, but the next day.
Right.
Yeah. Podem, are you going to want to try to insert yourself into some kind of game, or is anybody else going to want to? So anybody who wants to try to participate in a game, there are okay. Well, you can participate in a game. There are two games going on in this bar right now. One is a card game, and the other is a dice game. I'm gonna, just for the purposes of our time, say that I'd like you to choose one or the other. The dice game appears to be currently being played for higher stakes. So as you kind of sit back and observe, it looks like there's a minimum buy-in to that game for each round of play of 5 gold pieces. The card game is a slightly lower stakes game. It looks like it's a little more for fun. There's a buy-in of about a single gold piece. 5 gold pieces per play. Okay. Cool. Here's how the dice game works. You will pay 5 gold and this game. There is additional betting beyond the first round. Yeah, you got dice. Find your dice. Yeah. No, no, no. We're gonna have so many bots. I know you're gonna make a potion stand, and we'll just refill them. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like
Okay. Anybody else need dice?
we have. Can
Cool.
we just share one?
Yeah. Okay, so you are one of the minotaurs at this table. Right, so here's how this game works. The first round of betting is actually played against the house. So the house has stakes in this. Um, so the 5 gold pieces, the initial 5 gold pieces that you put in, you're either going to win 5 back if you survive the hand or you are going to lose that 5 gold pieces. But you have the ability to bet more, and anytime you bet more, you're betting against the other at the table. So everything beyond that initial 5 goes into a pot, and then whoever wins the whole thing takes that money. It's kind of a bit different. Right? So the initial 5, if you just stop there, you can just win or lose against the house. You don't have to participate in the large pot. But if you think you've got the hand and you want to take money off the table, you can bet more, and anybody who chooses to go in against you on that higher bet then has the ability to. Does that make sense? Okay. So here's how this works. You need your D4, your D6, and your D8. Yep. Four. Bless you. The first thing we're gonna do is everybody's gonna put and then you are going to the D6 and the D4. And everybody gets to see what those are. You're going to then secretly roll the D8, not tell anybody what. Yep. So you're it's kind of, yeah. So you're gonna publicly roll the D6 and the D4. Everybody's gonna know how we're gonna see. Then we're gonna do a round of betting, and then you're gonna secretly roll the D8, not tell anybody what that is, and then we're gonna do a round of betting if you want, and then we will tell everybody what the hand is. Okay. Okay. So roll your The house is sitting at a total of Pando has 2, 3, 6, 5, and 5. Okay. Remember we saw the but knowing where you're doing well. So you know now you want to decide who you want to. Remember that money is going against anybody else at the table. Well, you've got an NPC at the table, and you've got the house who can also. Okay. So, but you do not have to do that. And if you choose not to in these additional times, you can still win or lose your 5 gold. Right? So you're safe there. It's not like you're getting pushed out. Okay. So basically, right now you have to decide: do I want to stretch and more money, or do I want to and Pando?
I've never handled this. I have more gold in them.
All right. So 5 more gold. 5 more gold in the pot. No, we're going around the table. All right. Pro gambling. Mm. Probably pro gambling until it's wrong. Until it's really. Yeah, no.
Right.
All right, currently there's 5 in the pot. So if you want to put in the pot, okay, 7. Okay. 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 You need to put in 5 more if you want to have access. You can.
Okay.
Your other money is still not if you want to be in the pot. Okay. Yeah, take it out of your money. You need 5 more to participate. Nope. Well, I mean, if you decide not, if you're like, oh no, then you can't. Okay. Okay. Sitting at gold pieces. In now, roll your d8. Do not tell anybody what it is, and figure out what your total is. Hmm? We're gonna do one more round of betting. This time the betting starts with air. And again, you do not have to bet. Okay?
I'm gonna go for 5.
Okay? Okay? You no longer have you have to match your original 5 gold pieces. Win or lose that. You is like all or okay. House will call. Okay. Okay. And you're in. Okay. Very good. So let's talk about what the score is. The house did not perform well. Total score of 6. So anybody who has higher than a 6 wins the. Anybody who has higher than a 6 is going to get 5 gold. So you put 5 in, you get 5 more, so you should be plus 5 gold pieces.
And it's very excited about
A 4 is going to lose everything. So Pando does not get any money.
I got 4.
Yep. Good first try. Oh, 10 total. Okay, very good. You're currently winning the pot. You have already beat the house. So you'll be there. What'd you get? A 9 total. So no pot for you. 10 tied. Split pot right now. 8. Okay. So everybody except Pando beat the house. So everybody's gonna get that plus 5 gold pieces. But each of you is going to take 42 gold pieces from the pot, and the house keeps it. 42 minus. Well, this is why ideally when you do 5 out right away. So what you're actually getting back because you keep the house and you're the pot. You want to play again? Okay. Right, right back into it. So everybody throws in 5 against the house.
Yep.
What? You're not. Well, you can. 5 is the minimum. Anybody wants to bet more against the house, feel free. Just keep track of what you think against the house. And again, I'd recommend you take that.
Yep.
So you don't. Okay, so we're gonna roll your D6 and your D4. This is the public roll. Okay, the house is sitting at a 4. 8. Ooh, all right. We got big rolls coming out here. All right. This time, Gabe, you get to bet first. Okay. Okay, you've got a 5. Still a good start. You get to roll, or you get to bet first if you want to bet into the pool. No, you got to pass. Okay. Freya, do you want to bet into the pool? Okay, 5 in the pool. 10 in the pool. The house is going to fold on the pool. The house is not interested in the pool. Okay. And into the pool. 10. Okay. And then the pool. Dave, do you want to be in the pool for 10? Yeah. Okay. 5 more. Okay. Now we're going to roll our D8. Keep that secret, please. Wow, the house. You get to start betting in this second round. This is into the pool. Okay. The house is already folded out of the pool, so okay. Okay. You're out. Okay. 5. You're out. Okay. Final pool is 65. The house only rolled a 5. So if you rolled better than a 5, you will win 5 gold from the house. Or I should say 10 because you already 5 out. Right? Well, what did you roll? What was your final total? Oh, so you won. You won. Got your 5 back plus another 5. Yeah. Yeah. So if you get the house, you get 10. You already got your money. What was your total? 6. Did you beat 7? You beat you. All right, you folded out 10. All right. Well, then in addition to the house. Pretty good. If we want, we got time for one more round of the game. You want to do it one more time? All right. So D6 and D4. Everybody. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hmm. The house has to start. And we are back around to. Well, let's say what everybody has. I rolled a 3. 8. Ooh, 4. 2. Okay. The house is going to is not going to 10. Okay. You're in 30. 10. Okay. Okay. And house is as well. Roll your D8. Keep hitting. And the initial bet into the pot goes to air this time. 5 into the pot. You're already. Are you in? You want to put 5 more in? Okay. You're out. You're out. I'm out. You want to put 5 more in? You can put more than that. Okay. 5's good. From your unlimited money. I think you already. Okay. So, put up a big 7. So if you beat 7 from your initial, otherwise, no money for you. What'd you roll? 15. There. Wait, you went from 8 to 6? Okay, very good. 8. Okay. Pando takes not only the 10 from beating the house, 45 gold. All right, but this is really the last one. All right, this is 1 o'clock. I told your mom we'd have that. Yeah. Okay. D4 and D6. Hey, look at the house. The house of an 8. What'd you roll, Pando? 5, 2, 4, 7, 2. All right, very good. Mount betting gave you the 10. Okay. Fold. House is going to bet. The house 10. Fold. All right, very good. Roll your D8. Keep it hidden. Let's see. You're both out, so it actually the house is bet right now. The house will bet.
No.
Fold. Oh, you've been out. A raise from the player. From unlimited money. All right. 15. Very good. Up close. The house is 14. So if you did not beat a 14, do not put any money in your bank account. You got a 10? Okay. The house is going to rake all 85 gold pieces. Take that. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Glad, yeah. My unlimited money ringer here was pretty well positioned. All right. Well, after an entertaining evening, learning more about the city, having a great dinner, winning some, losing some, but all in all, enjoying being off of a ship and finally on track for your quest, you settle into your comfortable rooms for the night. And in the morning, as promised, you are awakened to the smell wafting across the city of delicious baked breakfast treats, cinnamon and honey buns, and all kinds of things. The bakeries that line their windows, and it's a good happy time. It's like sleeping. Yeah. We'll get more into this later, but this is also a city of very small cups of very, very potent coffee, like and with a lot of sugar. This is yeah, yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap it there.